the first true person to, as we said, build an Ismaili governmental type of structure in Iran was Al-Hasan ibn al-Sabbah. He comes from an Ithna Ashari family, by the way. He wasn't born to an Ismaili family. He was known to be very bold. He was known to be very shrewd. He was also a scientist. He was an engineer, he was a mathematician, and he was an astronomer. It is said that originally, way back when, his ancestors came from Yemen, from Himyar. And then his great-grandfather moved, or his grandfather moved to Al-Basra, or Kufa, I'm sorry. And then then he moved from there. Al-Hasan ibn al-Sabbah moved from there to Qum, and then from Qum to that city that I'm always. There you go. There was no Tehran there. They moved today. Yeah. So when the father moved there, that's where Hasan ibn al-Sabbah was born. He was born where? He's a Razi. Yeah. That was in the year 428. Hijri, of course. As we said, he went to Egypt in the year 471. He stayed in Egypt for about a year and a half. He was in Egypt when Al-Mustansir, the father of Nizar and Ahmed, from which the Ismailis were divided. He was there when he died. He was living in Egypt when the two sides went to war against these two brothers, and their contingents went to war against each other, and the relationships turned sour between As-Sabbah and the actual ruler of Egypt, who is the uncle of the youngest son of Al-Mustansir, the maternal uncle. So Al-Hasan al-Sabbah got on a ship to leave Egypt, and because the ship was going to North Africa, going westward, but because of weather conditions, the ship changed its direction and went eastward towards Sham. And that's where he went, and he stayed in Halab for some time. And then after that he went to Baghdad. And this person really got around. He went from Baghdad to Isfahan. Then from Isfahan he went to Kerman. And then from Kerman he went to Yazd. All of this, he was carrying his Ismaili convictions with him. And then he returned once again to Isfahan. From there he went to Khuzestan. And then he went to Damighan. He stayed there for 3 years. And then to Gurgan. And then its surrounding areas. And then he was wanted by a person called Nizam al-Mulk. Some people would mispronounce it Nizam al-Mulk, who was a Sunni and a Seljuqi. The Seljuks in history, the Turks who ruled in many areas in that general region. So when he knew that he was wanted by the Seljuqi governor, he fled to Qazwin. And he sent one of his disciples, one of his students, to the fortress that we referred to earlier as Alamut. And I asked, does that have a meaning? And it means the nest of punishment. Anyways, to make a long story short, he managed to obtain control of that fortress. The year was 483, 1090, and he put together an Ismaili entity. Of course, it was referred to by many names. Some of them would call it al-Nizariya, others call it al-Batiniya, others al-Sab'iyya, al-Ta'limiyya, al-Hashashin or al-Hashishiyya. It is said that he used to put his students in a state of inebriety. They used to get high and then go out to do some military missions. We were speaking a little earlier about some of the characteristics of the Ismailiyya. Al-Hasan al-Sabbah, concerning the mind, because within the Shi'i regions, within the Shi'i educational circles, there was an emphasis on the rational component of man, al-aql. Al-Hasan al-Sabbah has a statement, says, Allah cannot be known by al-aql and by rational thought. You can only know Him by the teachings of the Imam. He put together a force, a guerrilla force, and they were known for their assassinations. That's where the word comes for, hashashin, assassination. That's where it originated. And one of those who was assassinated was Nizam al-Mulk, who was out to get Al-Hasan al-Sabbah, and the assassins got Nizam al-Mulk before he could get Al-Hasan al-Sabbah. And both of them, Nizam al-Mulk and Al-Hasan ibn al-Sabbah, they were students together in school. So they knew each other. It wasn't like, I don't know him or he doesn't know someone all the way up there. No, they studied together. Another picture of Al-Hasan al-Sabbah, we said that he was a scholar and a scientist. In addition to that, he was an ascetic, he was a Sufi, and he was what some people would call a dervish. All of this at the same time. Yeah. It's also said in the history books that he killed his own two sons. One of them because he was found guilty of being a component of a conspiracy. And the other one, it is said, because he drank liquor. Al-Hasan died in the year 518, which is 1124, and he was about 90 years old. Lived a long life there. So he was a virtual ruler in his autonomous area for about 35 years. And when he felt that he was at the end of his life, he sent for a person called Buzurg Umid. And he sort of told him, now you're in charge.
Is that the guy's real name, or is that what they call him?
Well, that's...
Umid means big hope. And it's right, in Farsi that means big hope.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that's what they call him.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
Yeah. But after he gave him the responsibilities of ruling, he also attached to him 3 advisors of his own choosing. And then at that time, the Turkish or the Salajiqa, the Seljuks, they began to attack this fortress. And 3 years after he died, in this war between the Seljuks and the Ismaili Nizaris of the followers of Al-Hasan ibn al-Sabbah, there was about 10,000 Ismailis who were killed in these 3 years of warfare. And the Ismailis retaliated in a likewise manner. They began killing Sunnis. In Ramadan, the year was 559 Hijri, 1163. Okay, this name you said, Buzurg Umid, his name was Al-Hasan ibn Muhammad.